Hey, look at that. There I am in all my glory. First of all, salute. Thank you guys. We're going to have a good show tonight. Bringing back some, as I call them, oldie but goodies, all in the good sense, not because of their age, because they're all goodies. They're kind of old too, actually. Actually, we're all kind of pretty fucked up. But you know what? We're gonna bring him in now. My co-host Dell normally is the first face you see. Once again, I think his boy's actually graduating school. And oh, look at that, perfect. And he's there with his kids. He's not going to miss that, so he'll be here next week. But in his place, just in time. Look at that, Mr. Greg Haw. Wow,
What's
literally.
going on?
Yeah, there you go. He's my co-host for the night. Then we're going to bring in Mr. Cash from Sinbad Comics.
How do you do?
We got James from Code Blue Comics. And we got Jason from Crime City Comics.
Hey guys,
What a good looking group. What a good looking group. I'm actually talking about me. I'm not talking about.
Sorry.
that's Caesar.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I have a lot of rights to say a lot of things. What's up, K Dog? K Dog's in the house. Look at that.
Hey Kevin.
Anxious is there. Yeah, we're gonna have a good show, guys. You know what? Let me tell you what's going on. All right. No, Dell is out doing fatherly duties. You know, he's watching his son graduate. I think like 5th grade or something. I don't know. I don't keep track anymore.
They wear caps and gowns for that.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. They wear caps and gowns like 2nd grade, so I don't understand it. But we decided to bring you guys on because there seemed to be this resurgence. I've noticed a lot of people collecting pre-code, golden age, how even romance books. There seems to be this like revival. Even from the last time we had you guys on the show, we had you guys on in January. Yeah. I've seen more and more, especially on Instagram, a lot of posts of mail calls coming in. You know, and it's fascinating to see the golden love, the PCH love, all that stuff. It's great. So I'm going to be asking you guys a lot of questions. I brought Greg on here because he started collecting PCH and then he said he stopped because it was just too much. Right, Greg? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it started getting expensive recently, didn't it?
It certainly is, but no, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that James and I are always talking about is the beauty of low grade books. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're so used to striving in the moderns and silvers for the highest grade that available, looking for that 9.8. But it's really different, at least for me. In the older pre-code books, there is a love for me. The lowest grade possible that looks the best is my favorite book. That I don't have to sink, thousands of dollars in. That I can sink just $100. I mean, and granted, everybody's price point of what is expensive. $100 is still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but that $100 book that looks as good as a $2,000 book, but maybe the cover's detached. That's one of my favorites. I mean, honestly,
it is. It's interesting, right? I'm a guy. I'm not a numbers snob, right? They don't have to be all 9.6, 9.8s. But I'm a cover snob.
Yes,
it has to be no rips, no tears. I'm okay with the love in the spine and I'm okay with that, but it can't be ripped as long as it presents well, right? Because that's all I do is just present. I don't care if it's a 3.0. Even if it's from the 1950s pre-code, it's even better. And thanks to these two fine gentlemen, I have two of the same book. It's a story for another time.
Why is that? I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's another story for a different time. But
what's the same?
I wanted to start collecting the whole Senate books, and James was very nice enough to send me this picture here, and it's for a lot of you guys who do not or have not seen this before. Here is these are the Senate books that they deemed just. This just so happens to have just these books, right, James? They could have been any. They could have chosen any books, but they just chose these, right?
Well, there's more than one presentation board, but that's the main one that was used by the senators and the guys involved in the investigation. What strikes me about, or originally got me interested in that photo, is I've had to give a lot of presentations in my career, and when you're giving a presentation, you think about what you're going to put up, right? What kind of pictures you're going to put up. You spend time and effort. Now, these guys are giving a presentation in front of the Senate, and one of the guys is running for president of the United States, and they're going to be televised. So the books that they chose were not accidental. They took some time to find a really good representation of crime, horror, and the, as they said, the weird variety.
Mm.
And when I saw that presentation board, I just kind of fell in love with it and started chasing it down, and I was very curious.
There's something about the adrenaline rush, and I think we all could relate to this. And Greg is a massive Spawn fan. He's the guy who wants to collect every single Spawn he possibly could get his dirty little hands on. So there's that rush, right? There's that. Oh, I think I just found that book. That's, I think I just found this book, and that's a good deal. There's something about the feeling, the endorphins that kick in of just finding something and then knocking it off your list, right? Notching it off the list.
Right.
I mean, do you guys? I'm assuming you guys feel that all the time.
Yeah,
Not all the time. If it wouldn't feel as awesome if it was all the time, but it's that special time where you're searching or just looking, and then boom, or like one of my favorite memories with James is early on. We're at a Comic-Con in Florida, in South Florida here. And this is the first time we've ever, we did a show together, but the first time we ever went as customers. And we went through, there was just, probably like 5 or 6 vendors. And we went up to one of the guys, said, "You have any Golden Age?" And he said, "No." And we're like, "All right, what do you mind if we look through it?" He's like, "Absolutely." And we're looking through the box, and James just goes to like the 5th book, and boom, and put your picture back up there that you were just showing us.
Well, it's this one right here.
There it is.
Oh, you got it. Hold on.
And we come across. It's tough to see. There we go.
Sorry. Here we go.
There we go. So, and we come across the Black
Magic,
which is right dead center in that picture. Just raw, just sitting there.
There it is. Yeah.
He's pointing at it.
There it is. Yeah, that's the one he's pointing at. And boom.
The senator is pointing at it.
There it is, 5 books back. The guy didn't even think he had any Golden Age. And that's a book that's really important to James. And the guy's asking like $100 on 120. I'm looking at this like, holy shit, we just found a Senate book. And James, and I didn't, to my credit, I didn't lose my shit. And James looks at him and says, "I'll give you 70 for it."
What a mensch.
And then we walked away from that going, holy crap. We just,
in my defense, it's before anybody knew that. But we didn't even know. I mean, I had no idea that they were going to take off in value.
Sure.
I really didn't. I mean, that wasn't the mission. The mission was to. When I saw this photo first, I wanted to find these books, and that was the mission. And now they've just. Actually, I was going to tell you they're on.
It's the last one I've seen. I can't find that.
Yeah. June the 2nd. I just did an interview with CGC, and on June the 2nd, that's what they're planning. They're going to do a social media thing where they're going to feature the talk about the Senate books, talk about the project that I did, and then show individual photos
Mhm.
of each one of the Senate books, and really just to because it's interesting, and it's also the 70th anniversary of the trial in 1954.
It's to put it where it's Cash. Have you had that luck? Have you had the Jason James luck?
I have on some really interesting books. Like I said, these things don't happen very often. You just don't find them, right? They don't pop up. But sometimes you'll find them in the oddest places. And sometimes it's not as good as a $70 deal. But, when you can buy a $12,000 book for $1,000,
Whew,
that's a win.
that's a huge win.
It's becoming rarer and rarer because people are wising up to the value now.
Exactly.
And like James said, that book was a dollar bin book once. Now that book is a $2,000 book. But
What grade is this?
Well, I need to know the year. 1943, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that looks pretty. Well, you know what? I got to be honest. That looks pretty clean. What do you think? What do you think there, Greg?
0.5.
What is it?
0.5.
Because you read
He read-
you cheated. You
he
cheated.
read-
And you read the Mr. Centerfold.
Oh,
This
get
is
out of here.
cool to it.
What
Yeah,
is,
Keen eyes.
I'd say a 3.54 without the missing centerfold.
So
Yeah,
Mr.
I mean, in and of itself, I'd have to see the back, but from the front, it looks. All right, so we got some tanning. 3.0, 3.5.
it's just to me, it's just an example of a big, timely book, Marvel mystery book. It's got when the Japanese have their invasion plans for Australia.
Yeah.
And it's a 0.5, and I love finding a book like this, and we kind of joke with. I'll ask Jason, or he'll ask me, "Can I take a look at that centerfold?" And we go, "Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. But maybe it's the other side. It's the other side. Hold on. Wait. No.
I
No,
say the
it's fine.
same. I do the same thing because since, as you guys know, I only collect slabs at this point.
Mhm.
If it has a missing,
Who gives a?
I got to be honest. I don't give a flying rat's ass. Now, I do want to tell you guys. Maybe you guys probably don't know, but so Angela Gonzalez is from a nursing home in Texas, in it's called Prairie Meadows, and they must love the show because they're going, oh,
I got that one.
I used to have that book, right? They're all talking amongst themselves, going, I think I remember that book, or I think I used to have that book. And
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, they join us every Wednesday. I guess they go in the little community setting there and they put us on every Wednesday, and it's great to have that. But there's got to be something about the nostalgia. We talk about nostalgia a lot on this show, especially when it comes to video games, when it comes to toys, but when it comes to comic books, for someone from the 1940s and 1950s, there's your nostalgia, right? They look at those books behind James and go, that's that's
Familiar.
that's very familiar, and it's
Yeah,
worth how much, right?
Yeah, and that nostalgia, and no offense, but a lot of those people are not with us anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Nope.
For me, that nostalgia is my grandfather's nostalgia, right?
Right.
And I'm old. I'm older. I don't have any grandchildren, thank goodness, but I'm old enough to have grandchildren, and that's my grandfather's nostalgia. But I grew up hearing about these things, and we weren't flooded with the media like we are now. So we saw these, we read these were mythical when we started collecting, when we were 10, 12 years old. They weren't the prices they are now, but they were the unicorns because they were so hard to find, and
Right.
people talked about them. The old guys talked about them.
One thing I'd love to see, Caesar, one day is, but we have one of these sit downs here.
Mm-hmm.
We have an 85, 90-year-old guy, because that's how old you really have to be now to have, maybe 80, to have bought these off the newsstand and sit there and tell us about that experience, now, because soon, another 10 years, there won't be anybody. 20 years, nobody.
There's going to come a time when Greg is going to be sitting with his kids and his kids' kids and going, "Oh, that's Spawn. I bought that off the rack. Wow, Dad, that's crazy."
That's right.
Back when there was paper books,
right? And like, wait, Dad, what? Wow, that's like old. Well, imagine what these books are going to be when the Spawn is considered old, right? Time is relevant. Time to me is irrelevant. The way someone is inside is timeless. So you could be 90, but if you're having fun and you're enjoying stuff and you're doing this and collecting this in your 80s, you're not 80. You're just 80.
Yeah. My wife assures me that I'm 13 years old.
I could probably concur with that, Cash.
That's
honestly. There's. So let me ask you guys. So this is my first question because I wanted to ask the panel. So Cash and James and Jason, since you started selling these on IG and Facebook, since you started getting into the whole pre-code thing, what have you noticed now compared to when you first started?
Pre-code crime.
Oh boy, what a statement! Especially in the past week, it's palpable that crime is just really the
any pre-code crime.
Now, hold on. So let me
those beautiful LB Cole covers as well.
So let me ask.
This one's really not that expensive, or wasn't. It used to be pretty easy to find, but I've always loved these LB Cole covers and the artwork and the colors, the sunsets, the cars, so much. This one's iconic. Most people have seen this one before. Just the color, right, and what he would do, and certain books got a lot of love and people paid attention to them, but now, over the last 3 months, I'd say 3 months, when you look at Heritage or you look at any of the auction sites and you look at somewhat on IG, but definitely the big auction houses, the LB Cole pre-crime or the crime books, pre-code crime books, are flying up. I'm not sure what's happening, but I personally, I love it because I've always my PC. You can't see it. I have all the full run of Perfect Crime. Those aren't LB Cole books, and they used to be pretty cheap. Now they're taking off. Pre-code, that was where it was at. I mean, pre-code crime was where it was at. That was the big offender. That's what the Senate trials started with. I mean, horror was a big deal, but it was crime that they were really concerned about. They considered them handbooks to teach you how to become a criminal.
So you're saying, since when you guys first started selling, pre-code crime was just another golden age, whatever book.
Not a lot of requests.
I mean, it kind of fell in with Westerns, right?
Yes,
crime,
exactly
war, and
right.
Westerns.
100%.
Okay, so what changed? What's going on? What are you guys noticing? Why crime?
Well, maybe it's stemming from LB Cole. People kind of just rediscovering all of his portfolio instead of just Mask and Catman, and maybe and also the LB Cole crime books are a bit more attainable and affordable. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
I think that's a big thing.
I think the attainability is part of it, because let's take LB Cole's for example. His horror covers, like the Blue Bolt weird so his weird covers, his romance covers, and any superhero covers like Catman are astronomical, right?
Yeah.
But you can look at his crime covers, and they're gorgeous. They're just as nice, right? They're as
100%.
eye catching, they're as appealing,
Yes.
but the entry point is more reasonable.
You have
Not for long, but
not for long. I mean, it's exploded. Like the biggest discovery seems that people realize that All Famous Police and All Famous Crime, they're fairly short runs, all L.B. Cole books, and they are pretty excuse my French, pretty fucking cool, all of them.
Yeah,
Really cool.
I'm falling in love with this because, and I'm gonna straight out say it, because of James and Jason. I'm falling in love with this genre because the art is like nothing else. Let's be honest. If I'm in love with Silver Age, I mean, because I like the old art, go to 1943 and 1950 and 51. It's remarkable the way the colors just pop off.
Yeah.
It's that's why I really like those slab, because it really is a piece of art. They really are a piece of history. It's a museum. James's place, if you guys ever seen his when him and Jason go live on Instagram to sell these books, they're like, it's like a museum house. It's and they're just selling it because they love giving back to the community and make sure they have something they want. But it really is a museum when you go in there, see books from the 1940s and 50s. As a matter of fact, what's the oldest book? I'm going to ask all you guys except for Greg. Well, I'll ask Greg. Greg got into PC. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start with you, Greg. What's the oldest book you got?
Oldest book I have is an Argosy book. It's like 1936.
Oh, all right, that's kind of cool. Cash, what do you got?
Probably 1909. Some Platinum Age Kellogg's comics.
Oh, I love those.
What about you, James? What do you got? What's your
I've
oldest?
got some. My oldest books are the pulps. Like this one here. This is 1936 Brundage.
Mm-hmm.
These covers are this is beautiful too.
Now,
the green.
not only that, you have a book from 1936 in a
Exactly.
6.0.
Yeah, 36.
That
I want to meet
means-
the. I want to meet the
It's
people
not
that
the
preserved it.
1936. It's that it's a pulp and a 6.0. That's
Exactly.
Well-
insane.
Look at this fucker's thing.
Let's really talk about this.
Look at that.
Whoever was handling these books from 1936
Who
They-
preserved this? Who did this?
barely read it. I mean, let's be honest.
They were meant to throw away. It's the cheapest of the cheap
Yeah.
paper you could possibly get, right?
Any of those out
have
there,
to be stored in the right environment as well, because
Right.
that book sitting on a table in somebody's house in an attic for that long will
It would not be-
deteriorate worse than that by itself. That was in the
100%.
right climate. It was in the right place. A
Yeah.
lot of factors went into that remaining. You cannot touch those and they'll fall apart.
It blows me away. It just blows me away. And what are the kids, especially kids or whatever, young adults, they pass them around. Hey, can I read that? Here you go. And you just pray to Odin that they're gonna they're gonna fold it up and do whatever they're gonna do. But to get a book from the 1930s from 6.5 is remarkable. How about you, Jason? What do you got?
here's what I got.
Oh, here you go.
Ah, yeah.
I love going into an old bookstore and finding these pluck and lucks. It's political satire, but they'll go back to 1870. I've had those, and they are fun, and people are just blown away when you say, "Listen, this is a 125-year-old periodical, and I'm holding it right here. This is it. Look at, and the color look beautiful on it. I mean, these things are great. So that's my oldest stuff.
What is it? Just like a penny magazine? I mean, what is it?
It's a magazine. It's like a pulp, just magazine size. So it's mostly textual. It's all about the cover. and they'll have some of these will have stories. This one, just like the pulps, this is complete stories of adventure, and it's a series of stories just like you'd find in the pulps. But I mean, just really cool. And I have moved many of these on the show just because people just love just the antiquity, this 100-year-old, 120-year-old, 150-year-old books. It's fantastic. I love it.
So, you talked about you guys brought up a certain subject. So the big hullabaloo for a while there was that CGC was going to start grading pulps, right? So then everyone's like, fantastic. I have a stack of pulps that I'm going to send in and all that. And pulp seems like it was for a second there, it was all the rage. Mm-hmm. Is it me or has it died down?
I think it's lost some of its enthusiasm, but the pulps that are always big pulps will always be big pulps, in my opinion. When you look at, Margaret Brundage pulps from, say, 1932 to the end of her career, what was like 1938, somewhere in there. Margaret Brundage as the artist. And then the big books like the terror tales and the horror tales and some of these spicy detectives that have these really hard. And then, like we were talking about before, the high grade ones, the high grade pulps,
like some of these.
they're not going anywhere. And they're going to stay valuable.
And you have to remember you have the classics, like the first Conan was a pulp, right?
Exactly.
And a lot of Lovecraft was first published in the pulps back in the day. I don't necessarily. I think you had a big surge in the general public when CGC made the announcement. I think that's died down, but I see I do a lot of business that's not online, and I see a lot of big buyers low key grabbing pulps, big pulps, lots of pulps.
Yeah.
So people are trying to get them before they explode, or they don't want them to explode. They want these pulps, they want these covers, but they don't want to pay $500 a piece for them or $1,000 a piece for them. Yeah. Right? They want to pay $20 a piece for them.
I think it's very similar to what we see in the golden age, or even later. There's these trends that are just undeniable. Right now, pulp is one of them, and yeah, a lot. I don't know if the enthusiasm has died down. I think it's just become more accepted as a mainstream periodical. But just like what blows me away is just how trends come. Like right now, I'm still trying to wrap my head around Dave Stevens. I mean, I don't know what the fuck you want to call me, but why? Why now?
Boobs.
Boobs? Did you say boobs?
Boobs, yeah.
No,
yeah,
but
drive.
But the boobs were there 10 years ago.
I remember
it's nothing new. I would imagine somebody that has some influence started talking about him. That's the only thing I can think of.
For me, it all started. I wasn't a show.
These things cascade.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I was on a live show, and all of a sudden I started hearing people going, "Hey, do you have any Dave Stevens?" I was like, "Oh, all right, whatever." Someone's calling
whatever
Dave
that
Stevens.
is. Yeah.
And then I started hearing it every single show. Do you have any Dave Stevens? Do you have any Dave? And I'm like, what's? So I looked him up. I'm like, oh, okay. Did he? I hate to say it. Did he like pass?
Great art. But don't mortgage your house. I mean,
high census still, right? I mean, anything that has a census of over 25 is high to me.
That's right.
Not to be a snob. I mean, yeah, it's like that's what I love about some of these older books is they have such low census.
I mean, when you grab a book that's got like 10, you're that's fantastic.
There was a Netflix thing on him, which I'll tell you right now, if there was a Netflix thing on me, everybody be buying my shit. I
have input onto the Netflix thing on you, Caesar.
Yeah? What is it? By all means.
No. I'll tell Netflix. I'll sell it to them.
You son of a bitch.
Here's a pulp. Here's a pulp that I didn't know anything about pulps, but when I saw this pulp, for the first time. I brought it to Jason's house, and I said, "This is going to be a big pulp." And how can it not be? I mean,
You don't need to know anything about anything. You just got to look at that for a second.
Right. So it has a
Yeah.
robot, right? Robots are always popular in fan, right?
I Killed Hitler right on the front.
I Killed Hitler, Robot God, and then if you look at the artwork, it reminds me of
It's very noir.
Cold War, Soviet
Ah, yes.
Propaganda posters.
workers art. It's
Propaganda.
yeah, and it's the colors are there.
What year is
But
that?
you look this book up in like some of the historical pulp books that talk about what books were significant. They say this was unremarkable, but the cover is
But yet, this book,
anything but unremarkable. It
Right.
sells like crazy. It sells like
Yeah.
crazy. You don't have to know anything about pulps. When you see this,
you see that? Can I? What's that?
It's a piece of art.
it is. It's a piece of art.
Okay. So what? This is James. You're genius because this is my next question to you guys.
Mhm.
And you know what, Greg? I'm going to ask you this as well, even though you're not as much as heavy as these old guys are. But what book?
What?
You heard me, son of a bitch.
Oh, my God, I'm the old guy now.
What books cannot stay on your shelves? I mean, the minute you get it, the minute you show it, it's out the door. I'm gonna go with you, Greg. What's the book that you always? What is it? You could be a Spawn book, it's fine. But what is it? What's it you can't keep?
You know, like you were saying, I'm very into Spawn, and one of the things that got me into Spawn early on is if you look at a lot of the early Spawn, it's got that golden age feel to it, like the early covers. You know, it feels very much like those covers to me, and that's kind of what got me into it. I'm big into EC comics, so that's what I've collected for years. And like I said, recently in the last 2 years, I kind of stopped buying them because the prices have sky. I remember the day, like Jason was saying, I like the low grade books. That's what I collect. Even the low grade books in the last couple of years have come up so much in price. So, you know, to answer your question, like they're saying, everything Golden Age has been on fire. Anytime I've listed anything Golden Age, it's out the door as soon as I put it up. It feels like. As far as Spawn goes, the cover sells, right? The cover sells, and again, it feels, a lot of those covers feel very Golden Age to me. Whether it feels like a Schomburg, a lot of those Greg Capullo, especially early on in the run, feel very Schomburg-esque. Like he had, you know, him in mind when he created some of these things, and that's what I do like about Spawn so much, especially that early run, that they are mass produced and there are tons of them, but there are ways to get a little bit more scarcity to them when you find newsstands, if you find some types of errors or maybe double covers, which don't happen too much, but there's ways. But to answer your question, with Spawn anyway, high grade, low numbers, newsstands are selling like crazy right now. People are looking for scarcity because there's so much money coming into the industry. You know, I think that's why people have kind of shifted to those crime books, because a lot of those horror books that everyone's looking for, they see them posted on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Like, well, I want that, but I can't spend $15,000. So like you said, they look, oh, it's Cole, let's find another Cole cover, and then they move over, and that's what they land on. So it makes sense to me.
That's actually a good point. It's like, oh, the pre-codes are they're too expensive. So what's the next thing? Oh, crime books. Hey, everybody, let's all get the crime books, and then the price of the crime books up, and then that's going to hit a ceiling. The next thing you know, what's the next thing? How about the romance covers? It's, hey, everybody, let's go get the romance covers, right? And they all go to get the romance covers. And then as that's going up, the PCH starts leveling down, the crime then starts leveling down, and then it goes back up and it becomes a seesaw.
It's very cyclical like that. We've seen it in some of the EC books where some books that were you can't keep off the shelf, or if you just show an EC book, it's gone. It's not necessarily the case now, but there are certain crime books. You put up an LB Cole book, it's gone. You put up a Matt Baker book, most of the time, it's gone.
I bought ventriloquist books because Jason's pulling that off right now. Jason, you're frozen, but your voice is still going.
Oh my god!
It's the if you have to get out, go ahead and get out and come back in if you need.
All right, let me try that.
All right, Cash.
Talking.
What about you, Cash?
For me, it's timelies disappear. I rarely have a timely a full day. I mean, rare unless I
do
don't
you think-
try to sell it or don't mention it. I can't keep them for a full day.
Why timelies? Why just
I mean, it's that's the original Marvel, right? These are very early appearances of big Marvel characters.
Right.
And I'm not talking about like your timelies, like your your Jokers and that kind of thing. I'm talking about your superhero timelies. They just those disappear, and I constantly have people who are looking for those, and as soon as I get one, somebody in my network will insta buy it. Oh, that's beautiful.
Awesome.
I'm telling you guys, if you guys don't appreciate this type of genre,
Yeah.
you will. It's very easy to fall in love with this stuff.
LB Coles with the either the horrors or the romance, and the romance, it's the ones with the big faces, big pictures, a lot of bright colors, and the Matt Baker romance books, and the Matt Baker sexy girl books, just absolutely disappear.
Jason, what about you, man?
In terms of books that disappear, by far, I have the hardest time. You throw up a crime suspense stories, and it's still just gone before you can do anything about it. The LB Coles, absolutely. Like James was showing those thrilling crimes. Just people just they'll come on and ask, do you have any LB Cole? They don't, and they don't even say, do you have this book? Do you have any LB Cole? They are searching for an artist and not so much the comic, and they want to just collect that, which is fantastic because it's fun when a new trend hits, and that's why like Matt Baker has been big for a long time, but it wasn't something that I remember 6 months ago. People asking me, do you have any Matt Baker? But now a show goes up, in the last 3 months, 4 months, do you have any Matt Baker? Boom, that's what they're asking for.
What? And James, what about you?
Thinking while I'm listening. First of all, I have several people that are kind of loyal followers of the show, and they have some very specific tastes. And when certain books come up that I know that they like, I'll even let them know ahead of time so that they can get them. But lately, I've been getting a lot of Raw. I've had the opportunity. I have a friend that has several Raw old books, Golden Age books. And so I've been getting a bunch of the LB Cole crime books, Raw, a bunch of Raw ECs in grades that go from 4.0 to 6.0. And what I'll do is I'll flip through the book entirely, and those are gone. Now, but the ECs that are graded, they go, but there's a ton of enthusiasm to find a Raw, EC choking a boat, or a Raw, the Eries too. Those have been selling like crazy. The first appearance of Dracula, like Erie number 12, I've sold that 3 or 4 times. And also things that are unique. Like I showed like this Miss Fury, for example. When I had this Miss Fury, this is what is this, number 5? No, number 3. So Miss Fury, there's only eight in the run, 1 to 8. The first one is a Schomburg, and the last one's a Schomburg. And when I had those Raw, those were gone. They just evaporated because they're unusual, right?
So can we talk about that for a second, though, Caesar?
Yeah.
Raw versus graded.
I was you get out of my fucking head, you freak. I was about to say, how often do you guys come across those Raw books and this genre in Raw books? And do you have people who prefer the Raw over graded?
That's what I kind of wanted to test the audience here. Like I like looking at a graded book, but I love touching a Raw book. I love being able to flip through it. It's scary. You don't want to, you don't want it to fall apart on you or anything. You don't want to damage a book, but still, God, that smell, that touch, being able to see what is under the cover, to me, it is phenomenal. Just seeing, you hear there's a whole difference between seeing the words white pages on a slab and seeing white pages.
So that being said, what about you, Cash and James? What do you prefer?
It's different for me. I buy almost in raw. When I'm buying Golden Age, I buy raw, right? I have sources and I buy raw books. But as far as selling them online, Instagram, Facebook, those kind of things, people want raw.
Graded.
They want raw books. But when I go to conventions, they want graded books.
Yeah. I'll say for myself that when I do the preview videos where I take my time and flip through a Miss Fury #8, for example, and I show the cover page, I show the centerfold, really take my time and go through it. When somebody can see it like that, and sometimes even turn the lights out and hit it with the black light so you can see that there's no color touch on the book.
Mm-hmm.
People that know what they're doing get excited about it. But even with that, it is still challenging when to spot certain things. Like you can be a master of restoring books and still miss, a piece of color touch here and there. It happens. That's the only challenge.
I got to be honest, and I'm going to ask you next also, Greg, but I would get very nervous in buying any high grade Golden Age or any Grail raw.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I don't trust the sellers, and I bought in Cash.
You need to get
Cash commits something, right? And Cash is like, damn it, I didn't see that, right? If I go get it graded and it comes back a purple label and Cash is like, I didn't know. It's tough. And I think that's one of the reasons why I do prefer grade. And I'm not saying these guys don't fuck up, because we all know they do. But I'm none the wiser. I wouldn't know if it was a fuck up or not. What about you, Greg? What do you prefer raw or graded?
I prefer raw. Now I have one guy that buys from me. He buys pre-superhero monster books, and he always wants them graded. And the first thing he does when he gets it is he busts it out of the slab, and that's how he keeps it. He just wants it graded so he knows exactly what it's graded at. He knows exactly what to expect.
And then break it.
But I tell him all the time, like, CGC makes mistakes too, But,
Sure.
So, but that's the way he wants it. So that's what anytime I find a pre-superhero monster book, he's the first one I call, because I know that he wants it. He wants to crack it out of the slab and put it in his collection.
See, I think a lot of people who buy from us have the goal. They want it raw so that they can clean it, press it, and then submit it themselves and see if they can get themselves some sort of bump. And that fantasy of being able to get something and make it look even better, and get it at a cheaper price than they would for a graded book. I think a lot of it.
I have a question that Brody brought up here. What about Archie comics? Do you guys dabble into Archies or?
So I haven't yet, but every time I see them come around, I'm like, God, I want to, because some of that good girl art is exactly what we talk about in all our Golden Age stuff. But yet that whole run I'm uncomfortable with because I don't know anything about it yet. But yet, I look at the Archies under 50, and I'm like, I want to get some of those because I know there is an interest level out there, but my knowledge base on that is lacking.
Yeah.
You Archies are very issue specific on which ones will move quick. Like issue number 50, that's one of the best Archie books you can get, right?
Yeah.
Petty, good girl art, but a lot of those things just will not move. But if you get certain Archie books, you can't keep them.
Hey, Kate.
Yeah. So I have a couple short boxes of Golden Age Archies. I'm waiting I'm waiting.
What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for Archie movie to come out or
What-
something?
What was everybody waiting for with the crime books? You know what I mean? It just, who knows? It's
The restoration, just showing some of that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm showing it to the wrong camera.
That's detached, huh?
No, well, no, it's not.
That's-
This has some tear seals, and they're kind of hard to see. But
okay.
this has wheat paste and can
Oh.
go to whatever Japanese paper tear
Right.
seals. I've actually taken this off, this cover off, because I'm going to remove that because it's all water soluble. But you know, this stuff, people don't know what to look for, and they'll miss that, right?
Yeah.
This is the third appearance of Wonder Woman, right? Taking that off and leaving the tears will double the value of this book.
Yeah.
Taking it off and leaving the tears, because the majority of
Taking the restoration off and leaving the tears
Right.
will
I'm going to grab a
double the
book.
value.
1 second.
the census is that people always say to avoid the purple label. I had a purple first blade at a 5.5, which is a very high grade, and I got a good deal at it at the time. But I was staring at that fucking purple label, and it was burning eyes in the back of my head, and I couldn't.
Well, you know,
it drove me crazy.
Caesar, that's much more true when you get into the Silver Age and newer. I would avoid. I mean, this is personal, right? I avoid purple label like it was poison.
Yeah.
Into the Silver Age and anything newer. Same, but Golden Age, especially when you get back into the 30s and 40s.
Oh yeah.
You're going. Somebody colored it in. Somebody did something to it. You know, 100%. I don't like trim books. I avoid those, but other stuff, yeah.
What do you got there, Jim?
So these
Wings.
These are very affordable. But the last, when you look at Wings, they stopped the run around I think it was around 130, issue 130. But the last 10 books of Wings became really colorful, like this. I mean, they just became super colorful. And these are, I mean, this book was from 1953, and the art is fantastic. This is a Whitman cover, and they're nice and bright. But this is a $75 book, and they don't get the love. Like, look at this.
Yeah, you know, so it comes to show you people that just because a book is from the 1940s and 50s, they're not all that expensive.
No, and this,
You know,
that's a frustrating thing, I think, for some buyers. Is some of your and I've seen this a lot in the past year or so, are the sellers who are used to selling new books, Copper Age books, some Silver Age books. They get their hands on some Golden Age, doesn't matter what it is, and they get stars in their eyes, right?
Yeah,
and they're asking hundreds of dollars for $20 books.
Right.
And that can be frustrating.
So there's someone who would sell that $75 5.5 from 1953 going, oh, this
they
is
would try.
$50 book.
They would try. So what I did is I found a nice lot. It was in an auction, and there were like 15 Wings books. And when I looked at the lot, I realized it was the end of the run. And I like the end of the run of Wings, like I said, because they're all very colorful books. They transitioned from, most of the Wings had this kind of orangey tangerine, which is very beautiful. And they had the good girl art, etc. But the last 10 issues, they got super colorful with these deep reds, totally different than all the other Wings books. And when I saw that lot, I got it it was raw, it was inexpensive. And I saw when I received them, I sent them all to CGC, got them graded, even knowing they're going to be $50, $75 books. And I really just wanted to kind of educate people that these are very cool books, and you don't have to spend $500, $600, $700 to get a high grade Golden Age pre-code book that's cool as hell.
And if you're looking, you mentioned good girl art. If you're looking for some affordable good girl art, that Wings run is full of it.
Perfect.
Some of the best.
Now let's dive into this a little bit. Let's dive into this a little bit. So, as we well know, we talked about, we started about in the beginning of the show, is that there's been this resurgence in PCH books and Golden Age books, crime, romance. There's a lot of terms get thrown out in Golden Age genre. One of them is good girls. What anyone could explain what a good girl cover is for those who are just getting into this hobby.
Give an example.
Oh, look at that! How shocked am I that James is going to?
Are you familiar with the term headlights?
Yes, I think that's where what he's going for right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, but no. Well, as long as the headlights aren't too bright, because last time we showed headlights, we got canceled.
This is there's not going to be any nudity on this.
Literally, we got
This
canceled.
is an affordable. So this is an affordable book. Relatively, it's a timely, and it has very very low census. But this is a good example of some good girl art here. You have, the focus is this young lady.
Yeah. And
she has her new. Sorry for the glare.
Yeah, no, it's good.
She's got her new dress, right?
Right.
And the comments, this guy's like, well, isn't she cold or whatever? And you'll have, just a very attractive young girl, and it's the theme. And Junior Miss is kind of just a very basic good girl art. Now it gets a lot more explicit, right?
Exactly.
This is super tame, right?
All right.
I'll show you.
That's a horror book that Jason has, but it's also somewhat good girl, and it is hardcore.
Okay, hold
Oh,
on.
I love that Eerie #1.
Sinbad.
That's a Matt Baker.
So that's also considered a good girl book.
Yeah.
The Eerie #1. Eerie #1
That
is
Eerie #1 is a beautiful book.
Headlights. What I love about that Eerie #1 is my favorite thing is what Avon did. What's the date on that, Jason?
The date on this is 1951.
Okay, so Avon, you got Dr. Wortham educating everybody that, comic books are horrible. They're poisoning our kids' minds, and that started in 1944.
Right.
Avon came out with this Eerie #1. That's a legitimate see-through dress, straight up see-through. The publisher's like, we don't give a fuck. We're doing it. I love that.
From
I love
Yeah,
that.
I've only
Avon.
had that book a couple of times. It's
People
really
think
hard
that
to find.
people think that EC is tough, man. Avon did not fuck around.
No, they did not.
Not fucking
all right.
around, man.
So the other question, and you guys better get all your books ready. So the other term that we hear a lot is the bondage covers. Who has a bondage cover?
Oh, I
So
got
I have one in reach.
You guys all don't jump at once.
Everybody's around.
I mean, all the pulps are bondage. I mean, you got some. Hold on a second. The pulps, the Brundage. You got not your average bondage, but bondage with pythons.
bondage.
That's
with
Python.
All right.
Python bondage. This is totally,
Yeah, I think I saw that movie.
1936.
Bondage cover up here.
Let's see, let's see what do you got, James. Let's see.
Let me see. I'll find you some good shit here.
Eric, here's a Schomburg bondage cover here. And just for no good reason, she's just tied to a tree. Right?
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a good reason.
Oh, there's a good reason. but the and the bondage that dates back to like Wonder Woman. Where
All right.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
here, look at this.
Oh, that's a but that's not a bondage cover.
No,
Technically,
look,
technically it is.
down.
Technically it is.
She's into it, but she is staked down at the wrists.
Oh, I didn't see that. All right.
These sell.
Check it out. Look at that.
These sell really fast too. By the way.
It's kind of funny. I know bondage covers. Yes, I know bondage covers do sell fast.
No, not. This isn't a bondage cover. I just was mentioning that books that are flying off the shelves
Yeah.
are anytime there's crime, and it's women involved in the crime. Like she's trying to take out the cop with a pair of scissors. That's big.
Oh, all right. I like the directions of the scissors. They're going right for the gonads.
And then I got here's this isn't bondage, but this is
I know I've got some.
innuendo. That's a term. That's a term you
Oh.
don't hear that often.
An innuendo cover.
Innuendo, robot innuendo.
Let me see. Hey-o. Yeah. Yeah, that's the that's I know that for a fact. That's one of James's favorite cover, actually.
This is a hilarious. I just find it hilarious. It's but they literally, so there's Archie innuendos, and this is a robot innuendo cover where he's ravaging the city, and he feels good about it apparently.
Yeah.
So that's the whole term.
All right. Speaking of innuendo covers, I know that there's that very famous Archie one, right, where he's pulling the girl out of the water. You know, what I'm
That's
talking
Betty and Me number 16.
There you go.
Innuendo.
and the one and the words say in the back, you know, the bubble, the quote bubbles. That is pretty fucking funny. I'm not gonna lie. So the other thing that people collect, and this is all stuff that I've learned, and I'm gonna toot their horn from Jason and James. This is all the stuff that I learned on their shows. People either love robot covers, and they collect all robot covers, skull covers, right, and devil covers. People love the devil covers as well. And is it just because the robots of the 1930s and 40s were so cool, the way it's so, I mean, just so cool looking? Same with the skulls, because the skulls from the back way covers, they don't compare to the skulls now. There's a cool factor, and here we go.
Cool.
I ask and I shall receive.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know what?
Skull cover master.
Before we go into this real quick, someone asked, do any of you guys own a Yellow Claw #1?
That's funny. I think James and I were talking about Yellow Claw this weekend. I don't have any Yellow Claw. I never have, but
I have.
I think the top. Weren't we talking about that on Sunday?
Yeah, I have not. I don't have it right now, but I do have. I've had Yellow Claw.
What?
I have had it, but I sold it.
Why is it so popular?
I don't find it that popular, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's cool, no doubt about it.
So, for those who don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to robot covers and skull and devil covers, who draws the best devil?
LB Cole.
LB Cole, absolutely.
Devil, LB Cole.
And who draws the best skull?
Well, you could say Gus Rica, maybe, or that's probably one of the best skull covers.
That is, you know what, guys?
That's
The word cool gets thrown out a lot, but that's cool.
That's a cool cover.
It's just cool.
That's Burgos.
Caesar,
man.
do you remember Jimmy Woo from WandaVision?
Yeah.
Yes.
First appearance was Yellow Claw #1.
Oh no shit.
Uh-oh.
There goes James.
We're back. Bill winked out of existence when we talk about WandaVision.
Oh yeah. So Woo's been around that long. That's right. Because
that was first Jimmy Woo. I got that one. I sold that one actually during WandaVision. It's from the 50s. It's like 50, late golden age, 56.
Yeah. You know, listen, Kate has it right. If you guys don't join James and Jason shows on Saturdays, I mean, if you just want to get into golden age and you want to, at least, I don't buy because I can't afford their shit, but at least go and get educated. Start learning what people are wanting, what they put up, the terminologies and all that stuff. It's the cool stuff. That's my other question. Zombies are also hot. You're on mute.
They're always hot.
James, you're on mute. James, you're muted. Yeah. All right. Yeah, zombies are all this guy.
Uh-oh. Code Blue is having some tech. That's their term for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, I think Code Blue is right. Zombie covers are also pretty popular, right?
Zombie covers are popular for me. You know what I love, and I don't have any to show you right now. mummy covers. I love mummy covers.
Is there a
And-
lot of movie covers? Is that,
No,
is that
there's not, but there's a few. There's a few big ones. There you are. There you are, James. But yeah, there are just people who just like to collect. I like covers, anything with a sarcophagus on it. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
just
double bondage.
there you go.
It doesn't count as much if there's a male bondage, right? I mean,
Oh,
They don't even put that on the upper right cover if it's male bondage.
they usually don't.
let me see what
Here,
you got. See, now that's a cool skull. I'm not
Here,
Oh,
gonna-
that's a great skull.
Hold that up for a second, though, James, because I want to show back to our first point of. So here's mine. I pulled it out. So look at James.
yeah.
Bring up James in the main box. Okay, it's a beautiful book, right?
Right.
And then show us the label, James. There you go. Okay, now look at mine.
James, are you still muted?
A beautiful book, and I'm going to show you the back of it.
Yeah, James, I think you're still muted. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
But look at mine, 1.5,
And yet it
And
presents
still
well.
gorgeous.
And it's
and
still
it's gorgeous. It's
See-
the cover's detached.
Oh, see, right. And who am I to go? But Jason, that cover's detached.
right. It's beautiful.
I get it. You know what, man? I totally get it. It's maddening that I don't know how to explain it. If the cover's detached and you're in a slab and it's a book from the 1930s and 40s, I don't give a shit.
You have to consider it like a piece of rare art, and you're looking at the cover, because that's how I view these. When they're slab like that's just it's artwork.
That's a cover detached that's not going to have any trouble going to somebody.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nobody's going to care.
What hey James, if you want to get out, if you want to get out and go back in, that's fine. Get out and join back in, and then maybe it'll fix the hearing. No.
You're mute. And Caesar, I want to go back to the point you made, or the statement you made earlier on in the show about, because I feel the same way, that a purple label elicits a feeling of nausea from me. Okay, and even in the golden age, I'm still not like ecstatic to a purple label is better than no label, but
You'll
think,
take it sometimes.
But my issue is really with CGC. I'm going to do a little bashing of CGC for a moment here, because I think that purple label is unnecessary. You could still list all the defects, not have something that just is like just a tarnished product, and just say, hey, listen, this has color touch on it. This is trimmed. There's no reason to call out the blue label or even a green label. Everything.
Well, you could do that, right, Greg? I mean, you could send it in saying, I don't want the purple label, and they'll just give major knocks on your points, right?
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
get
they'll
it.
give
I mean,
For certain restoration, they're going to give you purple regardless.
right, but does it really? Do they really need to have a purple label here? I mean, can't they just?
Well, I agree with you. CBCS, who I don't grade anything with them except for autographs, which now I can do with CGC, but they just list. They have blue, and they list on the label. It's very. I mean, you just look at the label; it's right there. If it's conserved, if it's restored, and what the defects are, and so you look consistent. Yeah.
Did you get your audio going there, James?
Check.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah,
You're
there
good.
you go. You're good.
You're back.
Well, here's a good example.
The person that called me during the show, I had to scold them. Jason knows what that's like.
Oh, it's not good to be on that end. It's not good to be on that end.
So this is a very good example for my good buddy Jason. So if you look at this book, let me just show you this, and it's interesting because it even took me. I didn't even notice it when I first got it. When you first see this book, by the way, it's one of the ones on the picture here. It's right Where's it at? It's right there, right in the corner. It's the first thing you look at is going, oh, it's an old CBCS label. But if you look, it says top edge cover friend. Okay. It's a book from 1954. All right. You know,
But the purple isn't dragging your eye away.
Yeah.
there's no purple, and it isn't driving me crazy, right? Now, let me ask you guys something. In your when you guys are doing the selling, do you have those guys, those buyers are like, all right, is there any retouch? Is there, and I'm talking about like if it's slapped, are they like, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that because of their OCDs? And like,
I'll have people say, if there's any writing on the book, I don't want it.
Sometimes.
Now, you're right. Now, I'm a big stickler of I won't buy anything that has writing. I just don't, right? Someone's name, you know, Caesar loves, you know, ham on it, you know.
How do you feel about the date, right? The date, intake date?
I don't mind LCS stamps like they did back in the day. I don't mind any of that stuff. To me, it adds to it, right? But I'm not a big fan of drawing a beard on Submariner.
Oh, that's not good.
I can't do that. Now, there's plenty of people who are like, oh, I love that because, you know, that was some kid, you know, it brings a character to the book. I don't dig it. I don't. If I'm going to spend a lot of money on a book, I don't want sunglasses on Thor.
Okay. Now that being said, the favorite book with writing that I sold was an Amazing Spider-Man number 50, the first Kingpin issue. You know the book. So it's big red cover, Spider-Man and Peter Parker back to back, right? And I picked this book up. I think I got it. I think it was slabbed when I got it, and I was so excited. I got it at a great price. And when it came in, I looked a little. I think it was a Whatnot 2 a.m. auction, and the book came, and then there's writing on it, and I looked closely. So here's the picture. I wish I still had the book, but so Spider-Man and Peter Parker each have a joint in their mouth, and it says written on it, back to back Smokerama.
See, now, no, I think I might want to kept that actually.
You know what? I think when someone offered me more than I would have gotten for just the regular book because they love that. It's like the Angry Girlfriend version.
Perfect.
So, the Angry Girlfriend is that's timeless. So let me ask
And
you
Caesar,
guys,
I think you might be asking me, or you might be asking if you have people who argue the grade with you.
oh, well, you know what? No, but that is a good point. Do people argue sometimes? I'm assuming on a raw book, right?
No, I'm talking on graded books.
Oh, really? People argue? I don't really.
Yeah, no, they leave my booth real fast, but I do get people who argue the grade on graded books. They will get and look at it and start disagreeing with me, and I throw my hands up.
Yeah,
You don't have to buy it
No
That
time.
doesn't fucking make sense. Why would you argue with something that you didn't do?
because
They're
people
the smartest guy in the room. That's why.
Some people have X-ray vision; they can see through to see all the defects that aren't on the cover, front and back.
You get
I
that
think
grade?
I think anybody that's ever sold a book will agree with this. I have two or three guys that I can think of that come to mind. And what was that?
What was that?
What was that?
What was the
How
balloon?
did that happen?
You
What
have a
did I
party
do?
over
So anyway,
What
I've got.
the hell?
I don't know how that happened. There's something going on.
Yeah, because you're on your phone.
Put those away.
Put the balloons away. What is going on there?
Yeah, put the mushrooms away.
So I got you did nothing to see here. So I've got 3 or 4, maybe a half a dozen guys that buy books from me, and they'll come on the show, or they'll call me, or they'll send me a DM, and they'll say they want. Let's say somebody wants the this Unseen book, right? So they'll want this one. It's one of the Zombie Barber books, and you could tell right away who you're dealing with because they'll throw you a number that's like 10% off your ask, assuming that your ask is in line with where it should be. They understand that it's not strictly GPA. They understand, is the book centered? Is the color strike good? Is the art all there? Is there no rusty staples? They understand, like when they see a book like Voodoo 8 and it's a 4.0 and it's the most beautiful 4.0 you've ever seen in your life, and they give you an appropriate price, that is so refreshing to meet people that have true experience in pricing books, et cetera. I'm not personally in this to make money per se, but it's just so refreshing when, especially like 3 or 4 guys are consistently, they will hit me with an offer that is like right there in the sweet spot, exactly what the book is worth, not necessarily retail, but just underneath. And I tell them right away, if there's an audience, I say, just because somebody's not giving them a counter and accepting an offer doesn't mean that they could have gotten it for less. That was just the perfect offer. And it's just so nice to run into people that have that type of experience and that type of respect, for a better word.
That's the word.
Yeah. I've got a couple who are consistently will make offers that hit dead on, and I don't even have to think about it.
I try not to gloat over them too much, because I know they're not asking for attention. But and when they do it, there's a couple in particular. I'm like, dude, you never cease to amaze me. You hit, like, even with a bundle offer. I've got this one guy who'll offer a big amount of money for 3 or 4 big books, and it's spot on. It's dead on the number. And it's just so refreshing. Very rare.
Do you guys ever get, and this goes to you as well, Greg, do you guys ever get your, like, you don't even answer back when you get such a lowball answer? You're like, it's such a lowball offer. You're like, come on. I mean,
okay, so James has taught me one thing. One thing. Well, he taught me many things, but the one lesson he has tried to repeatedly tell me, to teach me, not just in comics, but just in life, is say no, and don't offer anything.
No counter. So
No.
the way I see it, as when people don't counter, it's almost like an FU without saying FU.
It's the deaf ear.
Well, yeah,
That's
it's
right.
your offer wasn't worth a counter.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, there's insulting offers, there's kind of feeling out the territory offers, and there's respectful offers. And I don't mind feeling out the territory, but sometimes, if you have a legit kind of, near the kind of known value of a book, and you're offered like 40% of that, I'm going to say either no or they're like Kate says, some offers are few offers.
In their defense, we all know there's some sellers that mark their books up. I think, Caesar, you were talking about some of the guys, their eyes light up when they get a golden age book, and they mark it up double the value. But there's certain people that sell consistently 30% over GPA or 30% over market. Not that GPA is the only issue, but when we know who they are by experience. When you run into sellers that are thoughtful and they try to hit, they pay attention to GPA. Like, sometimes I know certain sellers, even if they have a lot invested in a book, if that book has dropped significantly in value, they eat it. They know what's going on.
That's right.
They accept it and they move on. And
usually when I have something way overpriced, it's because I priced it 2 or 3 months ago and it's dropped. And
let me
know.
It happens. I don't want to sell it. I put a price for it.
Or you don't want to sell it, right? Greg, what do you do when you get lowball offers? You do the same. You just kind of don't respond, or you kind of like, oh, come on. I mean,
the place that I get the most lowball offers is eBay by far. Anytime you get a PM offer, you know there's something going on, because I typically set all my books to available to offer as long as it's within 30%. So if you're getting a message, then it's lower than 30%. So it's usually on eBay that I get lowball offers. People on Facebook tend to be pretty cool typically, but I don't. When I list stuff for sale, I don't list it in groups or anything like that. I always just list it on my personal page. So I can't really speak to how offers from groups and stuff like that go. I've heard some people say, some negative things, but I just keep it to my page. So I'm thankful for that.
I left almost every Facebook group because they all eventually turn toxic. The bigger they get, they will
I have
eventually turn toxic. But yeah, I agree with you on eBay. My block list is large on eBay. A low ball or two is fine. When you send me, and I get people who will send me 30% offers on 40 books at a time. And you've just wasted, an hour of my time because I have to go and clear those out. Yeah, you're gone.
Jason said that I'm comfortable saying no. I mean, I don't get pleasure in it. If somebody makes a ridiculous offer, I'll acknowledge that I received it and say, quickly and easily and comfortably that the answer is no. However, I will do this, and feel good about it. But if you've got somebody that's consistently, just disrespectfully, and Jason knows one particular buyer that I've only gotten upset with one person, and that was not during the show. It was after the show. It's somebody you're trying to chase down for a payment that insults your intelligence consistently or attempts to. And what happened was interesting. He received a very visceral, enthusiastic response from me about something. And that is what motivated him. Now he gives respectful offers and pays on time. People are all different, right? Some may not
know. Maybe that's just,
Yeah.
I was going to say, not to mention anybody names, but I think James and Jason and myself, because we're more on the IG side as well, and I know Sinbad does some stuff on there when he does his Facebook, sometimes dual. There's specific names for specific people who are consistent in lowballing. They're kind of fucking known for that. Like I said, not to mention names, but I think we all three might know the same guy.
I'll tell him. I'll tell him. By the way, you may or may not be aware that you have a reputation for respect. If somebody's trying to unload books, like sometimes somebody will say, "I am getting rid of all of these books.
Yeah.
I will take whatever I want to hear offers. Throw them out. Nothing's insulting." Now, if they preface by saying that means throw out whatever you got. But when you're dealing with somebody, if I go on their show, I will ask them first of all, "Are you accepting offers?" Not everybody does. And then number two, I'm not going to throw them an offer that's 30% below their asking price. That's just.
Yeah, Cash knows this. I bought through Cash for many years, and the majority of my big books I do on payment plans. And a lot of times, I will tell somebody how much I paid, and they're like, "Wow, it's a little higher than normal." I said, "You know what though? I'm okay with it. Let me tell you why. I have a set of group of guys who I do payment plans, and they're like, send whatever you can when you can. It's not a you got to pay it in 30 days or a month. Pay it when you can. I see it as thank you, and I'll pay a little bit extra for your time, for you holding on to that book. I don't care. It's almost like an interest thing. Without doing interest, I don't mind going a little over if I'm dropping 100 here, 50 here, stuff like that. It's my respect to you for giving me the respect of, I know you want it, and I know you don't have that much money to pay for it now. We'll just deal with it.
So to that point, and I think James is about to say the same thing. I agree, and I don't mind payment plans. One of my pet peeves is when you don't identify that you would do it on a payment plan, and then you learn after you negotiated a sale that it's a payment plan.
Right. And that's why you guys say it has to be acknowledged in the live that I'm going to be making a payment plan with the purchase of this book. Not say
people don't understand the velocity of money and that payment plan costs something. Not saying to them, but it costs it to the seller. Right? That's money that is unavailable for use. For over a period of time. And so your negotiations on what the overall price might be are going to be different than if you're getting cash the next day.
Correct. Because you are competing with somebody who was going to pay then. There is a risk with payment plans that I have had to, after 6 months when the ghosted, go, I got to put your book back up,
I think we've all done that.
And you guys keep right, because it's a non-refundable thing, right?
I keep the initial. People ask me about payment plans, I tell them I usually take 20% down.
And that's
You give me, if you want me to hold it, I need 20%, and that's mine. That's non-refundable. If you pay me other stuff and I have to cancel it, I'll refund you whatever else you paid. But that 20% is what you're paying me to hold that book.
Because some books, let's be honest, right? Some books and we have some, and you guys will all know, we have some major heavy hitters in this buying community who will drop 8K in a heartbeat, and then they'll say, "Hey, 2 weeks," and you're like, "Shit, okay, 2 weeks." So sometimes payment plans are kind of like, I get it. Not everybody has 13K laying around to buy a Daredevil 8.5 number 1, right? It's an expensive book. And you guys don't know, some of these PCH and crimes and everything else are pricey, certain books. So that brings me to my next question. And I'm going to go around the wheel here. What do you recommend? So someone's watching the show for the first time and going, you know what? I love it. I'm fascinated. I think I'm going to get into this. What's your number one advice to all the newbies who want to get into this racket of books that we love so much? What's the advice you give, James?
Well, I guess do a little research into what you like. Now that research may be tuning into Code Blue and my show, because as you know, as opposed to many shows where it is book after book after book for sale, we use about 80% of our time educationally talking about, this is the artist, this is what they did, this is the history of the book, this is why this book is important. And you sit and you listen to people who want to talk about books, and you will find your way in terms of what it is that ignites your fuse. What it is that, is it good girl art? Is it zombies? Is it zombie barber books? Is it bowling books? Is it crime books? You'll find your way, but I think you need to take a moment, get exposed to what is out there. If you've got just unlimited funds and you want to just buy everything, great. But if you want to just kind of take your time, figure out which subgenre you like in Golden Age, pre-code horror. I think that's my best advice, is that figure out what it is you want.
That's pretty sound advice. How about you, James?
I think one thing that's kind of fun is to find pre-code runs that are short. So like a Weird Chills run or Miss Fury run, that they're pricey, but there are several runs out there that have like 2 books or 4 books or 5 books. And it's kind of satisfying to, like, if you can find a Killer's number 1 and a Killer's number 2 is very affordable. Number 1 is pricey, but finding little mini runs to chase is kind of satisfying. The other is, and we've talked about this many times on the show itself, is when you're doing auctions or when you're looking at Instagram or wherever you're looking at your books, make sure you're not just buying the grade, and especially with pre-code books, because we have all seen, I have some examples where, I'll give you a good example. Like this book here is a 3.5, but it has the color that it's supposed to have.
Right.
It's supposed to be bright and striking. I've seen this book on Heritage is a good example, at a 4.5 that had half the color. Because there are a lot of these Golden Age books, not a lot, but some of them, you see it online and you think it's a great deal and you do a little research, but then you get it and you realize, oh shit, it's not supposed to look like this. There's, the classic, what's the one where the guy's putting the severed head inside the manhole cover?
Fight Against Crime number 20.
So Fight 20 is notorious for having several copies that are just brown, right? And people will see them and get excited and about a grade and a price, and don't take the true time to look at that cover. There is We've all done it, purchased books because they look like they're good deals, etc. But understanding the value as a book that you're collecting, understanding the value of a beautiful cover that's centered correctly, that has gorgeous color strike, that all the art is there, and there's not chips out of the main cover, regardless of the grade, is something really to embrace, and it's very important.
There's something to say about when the phrase "buy the book, not the grade." Right.
Yeah. It's very, very true.
What about you, Cash? What do you got?
That's great. Both of those are great pieces of advice. I'd also say if you're going to get into buying, if you're getting into this type of book, you're getting into you don't get into this cheap. Relative to what you can just get into comics for. So equip yourself with the tools to do your research. I mean, sign up for GPA. It's $10 a month. Create an account on Heritage so you can look at past sales. It's free, right? And you can look through all of their historical sales. You get a lot of raw stuff there. Find a copy of the 2 volumes of the photo journal, Ernie Gerber's photo journal, so you can check out the scarcity index. How many books are really there. It's a little more reliable, I think, than the census. But equip yourself with the tools so you're not diving in to spending a whole lot of money to learn you've made a big mistake, right? Yeah. You don't want to get discouraged early on by getting, and we have some great folks on here, but there are also a lot of folks who will take you for a ride if they know that you're just getting in and you don't know what you're looking at. So you don't want to get burned that way.
Good advice.
That $75 book that James has can be $200 in somebody else's hands, right?
Oh, that's at half of the booths at any Comic Con. That's $200 price tag.
Yeah, and I, that's why if I keep saying it, go see these fools. Go see their damn show. I mean, you're getting good deals. Greg, what about you? What's your advice?
I agree 100% with what Jason was saying. Identify something that you like, and then go for that. For me, what got me into pre-code, as a kid, I used to watch Tales from the Crypt. You know what I mean? So that immediately got me into EC Comics. I looked it up. I'm like, holy cow, there's a comic book for this. Next thing you know, I got a ton of Tales from the Crypt books, and that made it so I wanted other EC books. And I got Haunt of Fear. Then I started getting Vault books, and then it just kind of grew from there. I mean, it's first identify what you like, and everything else will happen organically. You know what I mean? For your collection, or I mean, I definitely would recommend not buying it to flip it, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You can lose a lot of money pretty quick doing that. So identify what you like, and then let it grow organically.
It's very easy for a newbie to drop buttloads of money when you're first starting out, and then you find out, that's not the issue I thought it was, because they're not doing the research, right? Oh, wait a minute. I thought that was the one with the hatchet and the head cut off. Oh, man, that's not the right one. But you already spent it, right? It's like, that goes back to doing the research. This goes for not just Golden Age, and not PCH, not crime, all the books. If you're just barely getting into this hobby, find your niche, whether it's your first love, whether it's your Spawn that you just love because that was your first book and you got into that, whether it's you think you like that artist, you like Schomburg's way of, and I want to collect all Schomburg. I want to collect all skulls, all devils, all zombies, all mummies. Whatever it is that makes your ass smile every fucking day when you wake up and you go in and you see these books, that's all that matters, man. Right?
An LB Cole purple car, man, gets me every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I would go one step further, Caesar, because I think you have like this is that, without tooting my own horn, I'm just going to toot everybody else's. We have a great group of guys. If there's 5 windows open, every one of these guys here. Well, all you 4 guys, because I'm a scoundrel. are very great, approachable people. Now, I have no problem with anybody here who's watching this video. You want to get into pre-code, and you see a book that you want to know, hey, is this worth it? You feel free to send me a message and say, hey, this is something I'm interested in. And, is this right? Is this a good price? Am I doing the right thing? What do you think of this book? I love indoctrinating new people into this realm. I think Code Blue feels the same way. So we are resources out there. If anybody has, a question on something, and say, hey, is this right? And if I don't know, I'll send you someone who does. I know Cash and Greg probably feel the same way that
I get those messages every day. Someone has a little question about this or a question about that. I'm so happy to help people.
I mean, isn't that the whole point? Isn't that the whole point of this community that you want to build, and you want to surround yourself with good people? Because if you educate them young in this profession, in this hobby, if you teach them young, they will grow within the community with respect to others, right? And they will gain the knowledge that you're teaching. And then one day they will be approached going, hey, is this a good deal on this book? And you're like, well, actually, I actually do know that, right? Yeah. And it all started somewhere. We all started somewhere. Fuck, I don't even read books. That's what I'm known for in this damn community. I don't read. But, I still...
Just for you, a comment I was going to make earlier when James was showing his awesome pulps. I buy the pulps to read them. I am in love with pulp fiction, right? Actual pulp fiction. I like it better than any modern books. I buy those and so gingerly read them because they're practically falling apart. But I love those stories.
The thing is, if it's not for people like you guys, this would just die out.
It would.
It honestly would. If it wasn't for you group of people, not just only you guys, but there's many people like you in this community who actually are watching your guys' shows every Saturday. If it wasn't for those people, the younger generation would give two shits about a book. Who cares? Captain America's not on it, or so-and-so's not on it. It's this generation of us that needs to make sure to preserve and continue this tradition of people to appreciate the artistry of what covers used to be, and how beautiful it took for them to make these things. James loves telling the story about, I forgot the one who pretended to be a man. What's the name of that artist who was a female?
Oh, well, yeah, when you're talking about Lily Renee. Yeah. Well, Lily Renee and also Brundage as a pulp artist had to do the same thing. Lily Renee was had everything going against her. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. Lily Renee had everything going against her. She was escaped Nazi Germany, came to the United States. Her parents joined her later. She saw an ad for an artist at Fiction House. She was underage. She was Jewish, and she was female. And all of those things made it difficult in that day and age. And she showed up. Her mom told her to, take a picture of one of your drawings of Tarzan. And so she took that in there. They gave her a shot. And at that time, Fiction House covers were ruled by Joe Doolin. And she was so talented that she started getting some covers. They couldn't not give them to her. And when you look at her signatures, it's always like L. Renee, never Lily, right? And so she had to, unfortunately, that happened not just to her, but it happened to anybody that was not traditional white male. A.C. Hollingsworth being a black guy, Brundage being a female chain smoker, putting together some of the most outrageous, badass pulp covers in the 30s. Nobody knew that she was a female, and when they did find out, it busted up her career. It was, I just read an entire biography about her, but when you learn about these artists, and especially the ones that had to struggle to get where they were, and when you think about things like Brundage was during the Depression, I mean, there was no work anywhere. People were having a hard time finding a sandwich, let alone a job.
Right.
And but they're still creating these pulps, and there's this amazing artwork. I mean, she was a classically trained artist, a fashion artist, and went to the Chicago Institute of Art, and actually went to high school with Walt Disney. I mean, the history of these people is phenomenal. And when you really start to learn and study, it's there's so much to appreciate.
And that's why a lot of times you see these books, the covers mean more than just the book, right? There's a reason why I like Silver Age, because let alone Golden, if there's so much history within these covers, getting to it, how they became and all that stuff. But you did bring up a point, James. Let me ask you guys, I haven't asked you guys about this. What about Disney books? Four
I
colors.
do very well with early Walt Disney comics and stories. And when I say early, under 100, and specific four colors.
What now? Four colors is, I mean, I'm assuming four colors.
Or the
is
four
the
colors, Dell. But
Let's
there's
go.
a lot of Disney covers.
Is it
And,
title?
that's the first Uncle Scrooge.
Yeah, I'm into these for sure. Sorry, I know there's a glare there.
Now
Cool.
now for those who don't know, they hear the word four colors a lot. What exactly is four colors?
Four Color was a series put out by Dell. There are actually two of them. Four Color Series 1, you don't see those often, but those are your big books. You know, your Mickey and the blot. And I just sold a Four Color number 6 the other day, Dick Tracy. But most people know Four Color Series 2. Which ran for well over 1,000 issues. It was kind of all different titles. You had Disney, you had TV show books, you had Twilight Zone got its start there, Peanuts got its start there. What's the Western Bonanza got its start there. So
Right-
Four
right
Color
from
was
that,
a
yeah.
very long running series by Dell. And usually when you look at the books, it doesn't say it's hard to tell because, for instance, this is Peanuts number 1.
Love that book.
Yeah, but it's
Love
also
that.
Dell Four Color 868.
Right. So
But
yeah, look at
But
the
it
whole,
doesn't say four colors.
you never know.
I love
Yeah.
it. The Snoopy's in between the cushions.
Now, but it doesn't say four colors, right? It just says Dell.
No. Look at the title on the blue lid.
You have to look at the indicia to see that it's a Four Color. It just says
Oh, okay.
Peanuts. But you can tell usually because of the big number on the top, right? This isn't Peanuts number 878. It's a Four Color. Also, if you're looking at this era of book, look for 15-cent price covers. There was during a few months, there were in 3 states a test market of 15-cent price variants from Dell. And
So they're
those
very- they're
bring
scarce.
big premiums.
That's
Yeah,
you
very
have
scarce.
you have a Crimes by Women, a Blue Beetle behind you there.
Yep, a lot of Sodi books. I saw the Blue Beetle that you have, and I thought the other day. I think you had a copy of this
Or Shoot
on
Up
one of your
Dress.
posts.
These are the great ones, man. Those are great.
Now, what do you guys call
Crimes
that?
Crimes by Women. Show that one, man.
What do you
the
guys call that
Crimes
cover? Shoot up dress? I mean,
Well, he was shooting her. Something. Look at this. These are classic. These Crimes by Women books. They're
Fox Features, man.
Fox Feature Syndicate. Now, Fox. By the way, Fox Feature Syndicate. When you think of like Playboy, for example, remember when Playboy had competition like Hustler and Penthouse that were a little more rough? Great book, Crimes by Women. Fox Feature Syndicate was the Hustler of its day, and even L.B. Cole did a couple Fox Feature, and he did not sign them because it was not. They were considered pretty rough.
not kosher. Huh? Do now James and Greg too, because Greg. You guys may not know, but you guys know now. Greg has a massive eBay store, not just comics but games and everything else. Do you guys? Because I don't see too many Disney books on your guys' shows.
I will put them up. I have a few, but my knowledge does not go too far on them. I mean, I certainly know, the bigger, First Mickey's, the Blot, but it is, there's an area that I need to educate myself more on. I love Disney covers. I love Disney stories. But in terms of what are all the key issues, that's an area that I do want to delve into. We've got some people in the comments here. K-Dog, he lives in the Disney stuff. He loves it, and there's an area in the golden age that I want to know more about. And that I want.
Speaking of artists, if you're looking at Disney, Carl Barks covers, Carl Barks duck covers are really sought after.
How about you, Greg? You do well with your Disney on your eBay?
I collect these. I don't sell these.
Oh,
I've got that Uncle Scrooge as well. Yeah.
Again, I collect the low grade ones. As you can see, this has been read quite a few times. It's the first.
I love how all you fucking nerds get right up because you're gonna go get some books.
They're gonna get some. It's the first Three Caballeros.
Oh, the Three Caballeros.
The first Uncle Scrooge in his own title. But yeah, Carl Barks was the man.
Now this is something that I have been collecting because these actually predate. These books here. I have a couple of them. This is Felix, but I've got a Mickey Detective. Now they're somewhat a little bit. They've got a little hardbound cover on them, but if you look inside, they are indeed comics, and they're a French publication. Hachette. I don't know. And these are from this book here that I'm looking at, 1934. And
what year that was, yeah.
Yeah. So some of these are you can predate some of those Disney books.
Yeah.
You guys you guys are funny, man. The minute somebody puts out some books, it's like you guys are like 8 years old. Let me show you mine.
That's right. Let's all pull our pants down.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's hysterical. I love it. It's funny, man. This is funny.
Well, people are familiar with this one.
There it is.
But this one gets all the love, right? Perfect Crime, and that's Perfect Crime.
Is that shadow on purpose on the title?
Yeah. So this is there's a monster.
Oh, it's the silhouette of his face.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
A lot of people call this the wallpaper book, but most of these Perfect Crime books had this three-dimensional effect.
That's so cool. That's very cool.
And then, you want to talk about not getting. I mean, they're going up in value now. The Perfect Crime books are starting to zoom up, but look at this. The color.
Why were the colors so cool back in those days?
The intensity. I mean, look at the intensity on this guy.
Not right.
So and Caesar, it's not just those books of those days. This Perfect Crime series, the colors are unreal on every one of them.
And one of the things I'm a fan of too, from an art perspective, is the Perfect Crime. I love their logo, the font that they would use, and then it's art. It's just the way it's broken up is beautiful.
That yellow, actually, everything about that cover pops.
Look at this. Here's a raw one. This is the guy. He's pretending that he hung himself in his cell, but he's not. He's still alive over here. Man, just these crazy covers. But they kept it simple, right? Crime, Perfect Crime, art. Maybe one little bubble.
Very eye-catching.
Yeah, very love it. I've had the whole run. I'm looking at it now. It's got my constantly trying to upgrade it. And then the other one that most people don't talk about much is I love the hand-to-hand combat war books. So where it's really close quarters, they're either there's hand-to-hand or you got bayonet books or you got.
That's another question for you guys.
There you go.
Is that a very undervalued? A lot of people don't do war books.
So this Jason's showing you one of the first ones. I remember showing this to Jason when he was starting to really get in. And that's a Bayonet to the Belly. So that's a whole series of guys that collect the war books where it's this hand to hand or bayonet to the, just this really visceral, like Russ Heath war covers where they literally come alive. When you look at that book that Jason's showing you right there, if you really study that art, the bayonet itself, the butt of his rifle is braced against the tree.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like a movie when you start to really look at it. That's a classic Russ Heath bayonet to the belly book, flamethrower books. I mean, these war books, some of them are very expensive, but overall they're underappreciated.
I was gonna say but do you also agree? You agree with that as well, Cash? That the war books don't give as much love. They don't get as much love.
Oh, the war and Western get the least love. War is, like I said, there are some war books that are sought after, but there are also some beautiful, amazing war covers that get no love, and those are still very affordable.
Yeah.
What
Very
about
affordable.
romance? How about romance covers? Are they also not as much love, or?
Oh, there's a lot of love for romance covers right now.
Especially these days. Yeah.
Yeah, romance is big.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys because we're winding down, because if we don't shut the show down, we'll talk to 3 o'clock
Nice,
in the
Cole.
morning.
So check this out. He spotted that right away, right? So he knows what he's looking at. Very unique. It's romance, it's war, it's coal, and this is it's not. It's a $600 book, but very unusual.
You know what?
Very unusual cover.
Straight up
Yeah.
romance.
Yep, there's some cold romance right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm getting thanks to these guys. I'm getting to the point where before Cash beat me to it, in my head I was like, "That's an LB Cole."
You got it right away. There's
Right
certain
away
things you pick off.
because of the red, because of the coloring, the saturation that you use.
It's the color palette.
I'm starting to get. I'm actually getting. I'm actually
You're getting a good eye.
Here, everybody hold up your LB Cole book that you have handy here. All right.
Oh, let me see. Oh, look at that.
So these are all LB Coles, the different genres, but look how similar the color palettes are. Between them. You just grab an LB Cole.
This is not a good example. It's more of a classic LB Cole.
Is that did LB Cole? Did he draw himself?
I want that book, dude. I want the signed killers. We got to talk.
This is
about
the
that
only
book.
signed copy.
We got to talk about that.
Holy shit!
We got to talk about that.
We will.
So before we
Yeah, I want
start winding down, let's become the soothsayers and the Nostradamus, the Nostradamuses of the group here. I'm going to start with you, Sinbad. Cash, what do you think is going to be the next best, the next big thing, in your opinion, in this genre?
In this genre,
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you all to start thinking about it.
I mean, I still think that that pulps are going to be bigger than people think they're going to be. But from a comic perspective, I think what's there is just going to grow. The popularity is going to grow. The romance is getting big. The big artists are getting big. So I just see continued growth as more people are getting away from the silver and going into the gold. And I see a lot of people jumping from modern all the way back to gold. They're skipping over bronze, silver, and they're going all the way to gold without anything in between. So I think the big thing is going to be just demand and volume.
Jason?
Crime wave. We're in a crime wave. I think pre-code crime books, it doesn't have to have monsters in it. I think it's going to be about crime in the next couple months. That's the trend that I'm starting to see showing up.
James?
I definitely agree with that. I think also that as more and more people dive into the golden age and specifically pre-code books and start to see these low census books, that it's going to be harder and harder to find, some of these really cool books that have super low census because they're getting bought up.
Yeah.
And I've seen that with, like we talked early on, that anytime I get a decent Marvel mystery book, at this point, when I get like a middle or high grade Marvel mystery, I don't even always bring it on the show because I have 2 or 3 people that are looking for them, and I've worked with them before, and I give them the opportunity because it's that they're becoming harder and harder to find. Like
What about
that's
you?
like I had this was my personal when I got into Golden Age. I always wanted one of these, and it's the next to the last issue of Catman, and it's a lot of art in here that L.B. Cole pioneered, and it's it's uh, it's my second copy, um, but these books are they're just zooming up in price because the census is low on the decent copies, right? The decent copy, not necessarily the high grade copies, but the decent copies.
What about you, Greg? Same.
No, I agree 100% with crime. I think that as more and more people drop from the modern and realize that, these golden age books are so, I don't want to call them rare, but so scarce that more and more people are going to get that because people look for scarcity when they're looking at, what to invest in. But I think it's going to keep going as soon as those crime books get more expensive. It's going to go over to the Western books, and then it's going to over into the romance books. And soon, I'm telling you, it's going to get the Archies. It's going to
it will.
You're because you have fucking boxes of them. That's why. So I'm gonna.
I grew up on Riverdale. What can I say?
We're going to end the show on this note. I'm going to ask each one of you guys to give me one word in a series of the Golden Age era to invest in. Give me one series. Give me one name of a certain series that right now you say invest for future. Not because, it's cool looking. We're talking money wise. Now I'm gonna go with Greg because the other guys they're shitting their pants. Greg, if you don't know anything, just go and tell me something.
Oh man,
I know what you're gonna say, Archie.
No, Bondage. How can you go wrong with Bondage?
Okay, that Bondage. Okay, Cash. Investment.
I want to say it's too tough. And investment wise, long term, I think James hit it on the head. Is scarcity. The low scarce books, and those are across the board, all genres. You will find books that are just ghosts, and you find those are solid investments.
All right, Jason.
Boy, I'm going to say presentation. It's all about presentation. Just it doesn't have to be high grade. It just has to be pretty because I consider these works of art on a wall for these pre-code books that are slabbed and just looking gorgeous there. I want to look at it. I don't care if it's a 9.8 or a 1.0, but I want to look at a pretty book. Because I think the presentation is going to become more important than the grade. Grade does not take into consideration fading. Really, when we battle a 3.0, there's 10 different ways you can look at a 3.0, but I'll take the one that presents best.
All right, and James.
If today I had to, let's say I was going to liquidate my entire collection, inventory, sell everything, and then just buy a few books that are strictly for investment, it would be in grade, not just in grade, but they have to present well. All the art has to be there, the color, etc. But in grade, Schomburg Marvel Mysteries, specifically like during World War II, not post. So 1945 and earlier. So especially if you can find, like I just had sold the last issue, the last German war Marvel mystery book, Schomburg book, Human Torch book. Those are very tough, and a lot of the big collectors have the high grade. If you can find any of them that have off-white to white, cream to off-white, no rust. That's if I was just going to do straight up investment, and that's it. Nothing else into consideration. I'd buy in grade Schomburg World War II Marvel mystery books.
Well, you heard it here, people, from 4 old guys and the youngest. We kind of know what we're talking about here. Well, actually, I don't know shit. I'm just lucky. I'm just lucky enough to have a podcast with my buddy Dow, and we get to bring on fantastic guests week after week. I simply love all these guys. James and Jason have become dear friends of mine. I just adore them tremendously. This is what the community should be. I've known Cash, I think, for years now, and Greg has been a very good buddy. There's so much love in this community, and we try to really stick to that, and we try to remove the toxicity, but yet it kind of creeps in, and yet we always have to be diligent to try to not affect this and not affect this community. So listen, guys, I'm going to give you guys each a little time here to let people know where they could find you, how to find you, and all that good stuff. Let's go with Jason. Let's go with you first.
All right. So I live on Instagram, Crime City Comics 1. It's right on the banner here. And I am approachable any time of the day, night. If I wake up at 4 a.m. and you got a question, I look at my phone. It is, I'm happy. I love new people. I love friends just kind of just hitting me up. And just, you are welcome for knowledge. You're welcome. You want to buy a book. You're welcome. You're looking for a book. Just come aboard. And I'm going to take 1 second before we move away because I was hoping to get up to James tonight, but I did want to show off this because I'm going to get this baby up to you. Take a look. It's one of our Senate books.
That's an upgrade to.
Wait a minute. What did you just say?
This book is for James because the Senate. This Senate is his baby. The 24.
So I'm shooting. I have a lot of most of my Senate books are pushing. Not all of them, but a lot of them are pushing top of census. And right now I've got a 7.0, and he found a higher grade.
Wow.
So he found a higher grade. So I'm going to give him this one and something else in exchange for it.
Well, since I got you on the big screen, how about you? How can people find you and all that good stuff?
You're talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
All right. Well, it's code Blue Comics, no underscore, just code Blue Comics. That's it. On Instagram, that's all I do is Instagram. And we have our live show typically on a Saturday, usually 2 or 3 times a month. One of the things that I do on my site is I'm usually doing a lot of previews. And when I do the previews, I'm showing you new inventory, things that I have, and just send me a DM and I'll help you out. And usually work with people on prices and come up with something that's realistic for both of us. I did want to mention one thing that, in the community, Caesar mentioned, there's some negativity out there occasionally. And I think it was General Patton. I think he's credited with the quote that just, it's very simple, but, don't ever let the bastards get you down. And that's what it's all about. There's so many good people out here. It's not just about the comics. It's about the people and the relationships that you build. It's the most fun. So yeah, code Blue Comics.
All right.
Instagram.
Sinbad.
Sinbad Comics, all one word, unlike the thing in my title. So just Sinbad Comics. Find me on Instagram. Find me on Facebook. Find me anywhere. Anywhere that you go, Sinbad Comics is probably hanging around somewhere. And first weekend in June 1st and 2nd, if you're anywhere near Nashville, come to the Nashville Comic Con and shake my hand.
Oh, there you go. You want to
I
shake
want
that?
that Killer's #1.
All right.
That's signed.
We can work
Killers.
something out.
These guys always wheeling and dealing on my show. All right, Greg, go ahead.
You find me at I Like Collectibles, pretty much on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and then I sell on Whatnot. Believe it or not,
That's right.
I like collectibles.
My majority of it is Spawn stuff. If you guys want your Spawn, go follow that guy right there. All right, people. Listen, what a show. We missed Dale. Hopefully, he's going to be on here next week. Which, by the way, we're going to see this guy again, Greg, because next week we have our video game show, Retro. So we're talking
Cool.
NES, Atari, Genesis, Super NES, Commodore 64, whatever the fuck it is. We have Greg, we have 8-bit Addict, and Broken Arcade are all jumping on. If you know who Broken Arcade is, go check him out on IG. He basically has like 30-something actual arcade games in his garage.
Nice.
It's crazy. He goes live sometime and just plays. You want to go back to your childhood, come to the show next week. We're going to do a lot of that. You can find me on Instagram. Here we go right here, The Real Dracula's Wolf. And I've been doing a lot of reels lately. So if you want some voiceovers for your promo reel, your business, whatever it is, and you want a specific voice, let me know. And we can work something out. So once again, we are the Comic Menu. We had a great time, and thank you all for coming out here, giving us an education. This won't be the last time. We're gonna let some time for all this news to seep into the new people, and then we're gonna have you on down the road when you guys can say, "Hey, so now romance is it's being untouchable. We can't touch it." And you guys are like, "Fuck yeah," because I got tons of it, and I'm gonna move it, right? Except for Greg, he's still waiting for Archie's.
Archie's coming.
It's
Archie
coming.
Archie is coming. It's definitely coming. Archie's cool.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
Great
Yeah.
show.